Before the spotlight, before the awards, and long before 90s country became a category of its own, there was a voice that sounded like truth. Patty Loveless didn't chase trends. She carried tradition. Rooted in her Appalachian upbringing and shaped by real-life heartache, her music brought raw emotion, grit, and grace back to country radio. From powerful ballads to hard-hitting honky-tonk anthems, Patty's songs spoke for the forgotten, the faithful, and the brokenhearted. In this episode, we take a closer look at the life, career, and lasting legacy of one of country music's most respected and authentic voices, Patty Loveless. Nashville, Tennessee, country music capital of the world, home of the Grand Ole Opry, where singers and dreamers come seeking stardom. Join me as we learn about the lives and careers of those who built this town on classic country backstories. Patty Loveless has had 9 number 1 hits, 3 gold albums, 4 platinum albums. She's won 5 CMA Awards, 3 ACM Awards, 2 Grammys with 13 nominations, an American Music Award, and 7 number 1 CMT Video Awards. She's a member of the Grand Ole Opry, the Country Music Hall of Fame, the Kentucky Music Hall of Fame, and the Georgia Music Hall of Fame. Born Patty Lee Ramey, January 4, 1957, in Pikeville, Kentucky, close to the family home in Elkhorn City. She was the 6th of 7 children. Father John Ramey was a second-generation coal miner. His wife was Naomi. The family moved frequently, at times living in company-run coal camps in Kentucky and West Virginia. During the late 60s, the family moved to Louisville so that Patty's father could receive better treatment for black lung disease. He died 10 years later at the age of 58. Patty began singing and writing songs when she was 11 years old. Her father bought a guitar when she was 12 so that she could accompany herself. Eventually, her and her brother Roger, who was 7 years older than she was, formed a duo called the Singin' Swingin' Rameys. They played at fairs and festivals. In 1971, the pair were an opening act at the Louisville Gardens concert when they caught the ear of Doyle Wilburn of the Wilburn Brothers. He suggested they should come to Nashville. Patty and her brother made the trip to Music City. On a whim, Roger decided they should stop off at the office of Porter Wagoner. He listened to the duo and was impressed by their talent. That evening, he invited them to the Grand Ole Opry, where he introduced them to his singing partner, Dolly Parton. Dolly listened to some of their original songs and encouraged them to continue writing and singing. The Wilburn brothers signed Patty as a songwriter to their publishing company, Surefire Music. 2 years later, she began performing with the Wilburns on weekends. Then, after graduating high school in 1975, she went on tour with them for 20 weeks. When she was 19 years old, she married the Wilburn brothers' drummer, Terry Loveless. The couple moved to Kings Mountain, North Carolina, and put together a band covering rock and pop songs. The band played clubs throughout the eastern United States. During this period, she changed her stage name from Lovelace to Loveless. In 1985, her brother Roger arranged for Patty to record demos in a Nashville studio. The tape drew interest from 3 major record labels, but Tony Brown, talent executive and producer from MCA Records, signed her to their label. She also signed a songwriting contract with Acuff Rose Publishing. In 1986, Patty and Terry Loveless divorced. Tony Brown recruited veteran musician Emory Gordy Jr. to co-produce Patty. Her first album, which was titled simply Patty Loveless, was released in January of 1987. The album drew the attention of the press and from country stars including Willie Nelson and George Jones, who took her on tour as their opening act and invited her on stage with them. Patty's second album, If My Heart Had Windows, was released in 1988 and was a major breakthrough success. The title song, written by Dallas Frazier, originally a hit for George Jones in 1967, became her first top 10 hit. Then she released a rockabilly take of a Steve Earle song called A Little Bit of Love, which shot to number 2. In 1988, Patty Loveless became a member of the Grand Ole Opry. She was inducted by her mentor, Porter Wagoner. Patty's next album, also released in 1988, was Honky Tonk Angel. On this album were Patty's first two #1 hits, Timber, I'm Falling in Love, and Chains. Patty and record producer Emory Gordy Jr. were married on February 6, 1989. However, they kept their marriage a secret from the public for over a year to establish Patty's career independently. Before becoming a record producer, Gordy was a member of Emmylou Harris's Hot Band, then went on to produce albums by the Bellamy Brothers, Earl Thomas Conley, and Alabama, among others. He has also been the bassist and producer for most of Patty Loveless's albums. In a 1995 interview with the Los Angeles Times, she said that their relationship inspired the title track, When Fallen Angels Fly. In a 1995 interview with the Los Angeles Times, she said that their relationship inspired the title track of When Fallen Angels Fly, as both had been in prior relationships and were unsure if they would ever successfully develop another until they met each other. Her next two albums, On Down the Line, released in 1990, and Up Against My Heart, released in 1991, brought more hits for Loveless, with I'm That Kind of Girl and Hurt Me Bad in a Real Good Way. In 1992, Patty underwent a laser procedure to alleviate some persistent throat problems. Then she moved to Epic Records, where she would once again be working with her husband Emory as her producer. Only What I Feel was released in 1993 and became her first million-selling album. It included Blame It on Your Heart, as well as the emotion-filled ballads How Can I Help You Say Goodbye and Nothing But the Wheel. Songs like these became the hallmark of her career. She added to her million-selling album catalog with 1984's When Fallen Angels Fly and The Trouble with the Truth, released in 1996. She earned top 10 singles between 1993 and 1997, including two #1s, You Can Feel Bad and Lonely Too Long. As the new century began, Patty decided to switch gears when she released Mountain Soul. The album included bluegrass, gospel, and old-time music of her native Appalachia. The project didn't get a ton of airplay, but it was included on many top 10 country lists in 2001. Later on, it was also included in several best country lists of the decade. In 2002, Patty released a Christmas album entitled Bluegrass and White Snow, A Mountain Christmas. It included several traditional Christmas covers like Silent Night and Away in a Manger. John Randall and Rebecca Lynn Howard also made appearances on the album. Emory Gordy Jr. wrote the title track along with another song for the project. On Your Way Home was released in 2003. Patty said that her and Gordy decided they wanted to combine the bluegrass feel of Mountain Soul with some more contemporary instruments like electric guitar and drums. The album's first single was a cover of Rodney Crowell's Lovin' All Night. The 2005 release of Dreamin' My Dreams was Patty's final album with Epic Records before they closed down their Nashville branch. In 2006, Patty was asked to sing on Bob Seger's album, Face the Promise, as a duet partner for a song called The Answer's the Question. David N. Cole, who was Seger's audio engineer, suggested her for the track, but Seger was concerned that Patty wouldn't approve, but she said yes, and they found that they were actually fans of each other's music. Then she took a hiatus from recording. Epic had closed its Nashville division. Then her mother and her mother-in-law died. Then her brother Roger had a stroke. He passed away from complications of COVID-19 in 2023. Patty's next album, Sleepless Nights on Saguaro Road, was released in 2008. According to a CMT interview, she chose to do the album of mostly covers dedicated to her brother Roger and sister Dottie, who had passed in 1996. Gordy played bass and produced the album, which included such heavy-hitter musicians as Hargus Pig Robbins on piano, guitarist Al Perkins, and drummer Harry Stinson. The album included covers originally recorded by the Everly Brothers, Webb Pierce, George Jones, and Porter Wagoner. The lead single was a cover of George Jones' Why Baby Why. She also recorded a duet on George Strait's album, Troubadour, called House of Cash. Her album was nominated for Best Country Album at the 51st Annual Grammy Awards, while House of Cash was nominated for Best Country Collaboration with Vocals. The following year, she released Mountain Soul 2. Like the first Mountain Soul album, it included acoustic and bluegrass music. Vince Gill, Del McCoury, and Emmylou Harris all made appearances on the project. Patty included Amazing Grace because she had previously sang the song on tour with Ralph Stanley and Emmylou Harris when she was on tour with them. She also did an a cappella version of Children of Abraham. The lead single of the album was Busted, written by Harlan Howard. By 2009, Patty Loveless had essentially stopped touring. She stays closer to home to be with her husband, Emery Gordy Jr., as he's had some health problems. However, she has sporadically contributed to other artists' recording projects. She sang background vocals on a track, Dear Diamond, on Miranda Lambert's 2010 album, For the Road. She also appeared on albums by Angelina Presley, Elizabeth Cook, Trisha Yearwood, and Carly Pearce. The same year, she joined Danica Patrick, Caitlyn Jenner, and Michael Strahan in a program created by NASCAR titled Drive, which was created to raise awareness of chronic obstructive pulmonary disease known as COPD. She chose the program because her sister Dottie had died from the disease. In October of 2022, she was one of several performers at the Kentucky Rising, a benefit concert held at the Rupp Arena to help victims of the Kentucky floods. Other performers were Chris Stapleton, Dwight Yoakam, Tyler Childers, and Ricky Skaggs, among others. A month later, Patty and Chris Stapleton sang I'll Never Leave Harlan Alive together at the 56th Annual Country Music Association Awards. In 2023, Patty Loveless was inducted into the Country Music Hall of Fame, along with songwriter Bob McDill and country star Tanya Tucker. The same year, Rolling Stone magazine ranked Patty among the 200 greatest singers of all time. She has been seen on the Grand Ole Opry several times and performed, but chooses not to tour at this time. However, she does make some personal appearances. Patty Loveless doesn't just sing country music, she lives it. With a voice rooted in the coal fields of Kentucky and a heart full of honesty, she carried tradition forward while making it unmistakably her own. Her songs remind us that country music tells the truth even when it hurts, and that some voices don't fade with time. They grow deeper, richer, and more meaningful. Thanks for watching, and if you love classic country backstories, please make sure to like, subscribe to the channel, and leave us a comment. Until next time, take care, God bless, and I'll see you later.